So, good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Betty Hager Francis, and I serve as Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Health, Human Services, and Education for County Executive Rashern L. Baker III, who will be with us momentarily. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning for the ribbon cutting at the Bridge Center at Adams House. We are extremely happy that we are having this opening today, and we are very, very glad that you're here to share it with us. Now, we hope it is not going to be a sweatbox through the whole event, but at least we have heat. We can talk about that. I want to recognize our sheriff, Melvin Hyde, for being with us today. And we have our fire department and Colonel Darren Palmer with us today, and we thank you very, very much for being here. Today's opening is really a big deal for Prince George's County because it's the first of its kind for our county residents. Good morning, Mr. Baker. No, Mr. Baker, you can't sneak in. Let's give him a hand, because if we wouldn't be here but for him. The Bridge Center at Adams House is a multi-service center that will provide co-located wraparound services for Prince George's County residents who are re-entering our community. The Bridge Center will be a place where veterans returning from service in the military will be able to find the services and support they need, and the center will be a place where ex-offenders returning from incarceration will find the supports, services, and long-term case management they need to rebuild their lives. And the center will also be a place where 18 to 24-year-old youth who are not in school and not employed will find the support and services they need as they try to find their place in the world and lead productive lives. Yes, thank you, please. We want that. We're real happy about that. We know how important it is to Prince George's County to have a place like the Bridge Center at Adams House. Now, the county executive is here, but Mr. Baker usually likes to, do you want to go first? Do you want to go? Thank you, Mr. Baker. That's what you usually like to do. So that was our plan. So Councilmember Tolles is coming to bring greetings, but she had a committee meeting this morning, but she will be here. So before I really get started, I've got to recognize four phenomenal leaders who actually made this a reality. And they are our fantastic health officer, Pamela Kriegmer, our fantastic Director of the Department of Family Services, Elena Ballon Butler. You have to stand, both of y'all please stand up. And I have to recognize Gloria Brown Burnett too, but Gloria is blessedly for her on vacation today. She's in the sun. So Stephen Liggett Creel is standing in for Gloria. He's Chief of Staff. And he is seriously part of everything we do. But also I've got to recognize Mary Lou McDonough, who has been our true partner through this entire process. So these three directors that are my Health and Human Services Get It Done team, sometimes our boss, Mr. Baker, or I may have a vision for things that need to happen for county residents. And pretty much all I need to do is talk it over with these ladies, and we work out some details, mostly about who's going to give up what money, because it's never budgeted. It's never budgeted. But they always work it out. And they literally made this happen without any changes to the budgets. They found the money. And we just really have to appreciate them for doing that. So let's give them another hand. This model of collaboration is exemplified. When you go upstairs, you're really going to see what this model of collaboration that is the hallmark of Mr. Baker's administration really can produce. So what's here at the Bridge Center? Just think of it as Adams House on steroids. Where is Bill Hall? There he is. So we want to thank Bill Hall and all the Adams House staff for the amazing and invaluable work they've been doing over the years. Thank you, Bill. You've been doing some fantastic work. Co-located, I just want to tell you a little bit about what's here. Co-located in the center, which is upstairs, and which we're going to tour right after this, are staff from various departments and community agencies who will provide services such as jobs counseling, workforce services, food assistance, medical assistance, substance abuse treatment, mental health counseling, mentoring, military service benefits, veterans claims assistance, and various services and resources for youth, all located in one area in a building that has Capital Region Health right across the hall here. It has Behavioral Health Associates right downstairs. We have Planned Parenthood for Women's Health right downstairs. And a couple of other resources are on their way to this building. And I don't know if Kevin Sills, who really is the owner of the building, is here. Kevin, step forward, please. Because I'm sorry, everybody, we got to give him a hand. When I started with Mr. Baker's, when I was honored to start with Mr. Baker's administration, I met with Kevin Sills because we were trying to get a health clinic in this building. And Kevin's vision was to have this building be a building of services to the Suitland community. And lo and behold, working with Floyd Holt, who's sitting right here, and Kevin Sills, your building is just about full of services, isn't it?
You always have room for more.
Okay. There you go. There you go. So anyway, recognizing that additional services are needed in order to provide greater continuum of care in the center, the directors all partnered with other county departments, such as our Department of Corrections and community partners and the library system. We're going to have GED preparation, employment assistance, as I mentioned, and job training, legal assistance, and other important services. The Bridge Center at Adams House will serve as a place where returning residents of the county can find the services that they need in one location, just as I mentioned before. I now have the pleasure of introducing Mary Lou McDonough, the director of the County Department of Corrections, who has been an integral partner in this endeavor. Director McDonough? Wait, don't step on that table. Thanks.
Thank you, Betty, for your leadership. I have the enviable position of reporting to Mr. Mark McGall as the DCAO for Public Safety. But Betty forgets that sometimes and drafts me over to report to her. And then I have Barry Stanton, who thinks that once you've worked for him, you work for him for life. It's a life sentence with Barry. So I get to report to all the DCAOs. I'm fortunate that way. But the Department of Correction has been working very closely with the Health Department, the Department of Social Services, and all the other community partners to identify and to address the needs of individuals returning to the community. 95% of those incarcerated in this country will return to their home community. In Prince George's County, we see about 25,000 people a year come through the Department of Corrections that are arrested by either the Prince George's County Police, that's brought into us by the Sheriff's Office, or one of the many municipal police, the University of Maryland, everybody's got their own police in this area, and we service them all. And about half of them, or 12,000 people, are actually committed to the Department of Corrections. Now, our commitment time at staying in the jail is only about 35 days, but the Vera Institute of Justice and many other agencies in the country have shown us that even spending 24 hours in jail upsets your life tremendously. And what we're doing is trying to get people out of jail. It's funny, most of my brethren, and they're mostly brethren, try to put people in jail. The Department of Corrections usually tries to get them out of jail, except for those that do need to spend time there. Now, many of them that we see are responsible or being charged with serious crimes, and they will remain in jail and go through their trial and probably end up in the state system. But the ones that we have particular concern about are the ones that are either sentenced to us for minor crimes or come through us and are let back out on bond, but in that meantime they've lost contact with their children, they've lost contact with their family, or maybe they burnt those bridges before they got to jail. And we need to see that they're returning to a community that is accepting to them and has all the services that they need. Approximately 85% of the individuals incarcerated have a serious history of substance abuse. I mean, that's a huge number. And an estimated 60% of our population has a diagnosable mental health disorder. And while they're incarcerated, about 27% are actually prescribed some type of psychotropic medication. So these are the people that are returning to our community. And it's always hard to move, to pick up and come back to a community. A lot of us do it after, go away for school and come back, and things change. But they change much more for those that are incarcerated. So this Bridge Center will provide a base for those individuals and possibly help with their multitude of needs and hopefully avoid failure in recidivism. I'd like to thank my staff, particularly Guy Merritt, Corinne LeBay, some of the other staff that work primarily with reentry. They've done a great job and been at the table a lot when I couldn't make it. Being a director of a large department with a lot of things ongoing, you're juggling often. And while this is a priority, I'm grateful and pleased to have such an excellent staff that I can count on to represent me in the department and the county well. So thank you. I think you'll be pleased with what you see today. I think hopefully you'll be pleased with what you hear. And I think we're going to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So a key element of independence and self-sufficiency for anyone is employment. And so I'd like to introduce now Walter Simmons, who's Executive Director of the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation's Workforce Services Division. Mr. Simmons will speak briefly about employment services that will be here in the center.
This is a great opportunity for Prince George's County and all of our residents. Even though we boast one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state of Maryland, that's a clap, and have made tremendous changes. We are an economic leader in the state of Maryland, in the region, but there are residents who need our help. And unbeknownst to what people think, a lot of residents want to gain employment. They want to have a better quality of life. But there are multiple barriers that are preventing them from seeing their goals. So what this center provides is a holistic approach to helping people. When the state and federal government can't figure it out under the Baker administration, Prince George County has. So we're providing services for that disconnected youth population to help them gain the high school credentials and soft skills and career readiness skills and occupational skills training. Our adults who have gone down that path and need some guidance, our veterans, our returning citizens, there's going to be workforce services here, assessments, career readiness, placing them on a career pathway with trainings and skills and credentials that are going to lead to them gaining a better quality of life and an income that can sustain a family. And that's what we believe that these residents want. That's what this center is going to provide. Thank you to Ms. Francis and the county executive for having a vision, and all of the partners who are here to put it together. This center is going to make a change. And it is going to be a model for the rest of this country, where you can see workforce services, the Department of Corrections, social services, family services, and mental health coming together to improve the quality of life of residents who need it most. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Workforce services, we're ecstatic. Our reentry services team is going to be here. Our youth program is going to be here. We're bringing in Eckerd Youth Alternatives, a partner who's been doing this for 30 years across the country. They're going to be here providing services, and they're here today. So we're looking forward to it. And I really can say thank you, and let's move this place forward. Thank you.
So who is here representing Eckerd? Oh, thank you. Thank you. We're very glad that you're going to be a partner here in this center. Fantastic. Thank you very, very much, Walter. And now I'm going to ask our health officer to come forward and talk about, give us a few comments about what this center means for us all.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Mrs. Francis. Mary Lou, you were absolutely right. We have multiple bosses, and what the beautiful thing with that is we really get it done. We typically don't care who is up here speaking before you. We want to educate you and make you understand how much we love and value our residents. And so I'm only going to say a few things because it's all been said, and Mr. Baker is going to bring it home. I need you to leave here understanding that jobs is a public health issue. Housing is a public health issue. Mental health has tons of stigma. We all have the issues. There's a diagnosis, probably 90% of us have some diagnosis in this room. I am raising my hand. There is no stigma with that. I can't choose my OCD or my control habits, just as I can't control the DNA factors that make me a diabetic. Those behavioral health and somatic issues are critical. Now, one day incarcerated changes lives. Corrections is a public health issue. So that's really bringing it all in a nutshell. We all are thrilled about this day. I have to congratulate all of Health and Human Services staff. These guys get it done. We look good, and we're sitting up here in the front row. We really need to be back there serving punch because, and you know, humility is humility. We really care about the residents of this world. We care even more about the residents of Prince George's County, and we feel that every individual is of value and deserves the best that we've got to give. And so that's all I can say as your health officer. We care about every single soul. We are all human beings. There's no politics, there's no Republican, Democratic. We got to do the right thing for the right reason because we are connected. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pam, and thank everybody for what we've all been pulled together, and everybody in this room is going to have a part in this center. So I could literally stand here, and the rest of us could keep coming up and talking about things, about the life-changing benefits of the Bridge Center that the Bridge Center will make in people's lives. But I really would like to have some folks who have really walked on the path of the people that we are serving. And we're actually serving people upstairs today. When we walked upstairs just to see how things were looking and going. And we had to do it quietly because business was going on upstairs. And that is wonderful. But these folks have agreed to share their stories and their knowledge of what having a place like the Bridge Center at Adams House will mean to the community. The first person I'd like to introduce you to, Edward Kelly. Mr. Kelly served more than 10 years in federal and state prisons on drug-related charges. After returning to his community from incarceration, Mr. Kelly made it his personal mission to work hard to prevent youth and adults from following his youthful path. He is a frequent speaker at programs during which he shares his personal story as a returning citizen and advice on making better life choices. Mr. Kelly?
How y'all doing? I wish my prison stint was as short as 10 years. However, it's a little longer. I met Bill at Adams House in 2002 after being released from prison the first time. And they sent me there for anger management because they said or thought I had a propensity for violence because of the path that I chose. And Bill made a difference in my life then. Unfortunately, I didn't get it right the first time, and I went back. These things make me emotional. So, let's fast forward. So for the last 5 years, I own my own small business. I ran the Safe Neighborhood in Prince George's County for about 20 months under the direction of Ms. Creekmud and some other fine folks. I had the opportunity to meet quite a few people that's in the room, like Ms. Turner and well, I know BJ, but quite a few people, Reggie. And I also did workforce development. So for 5 years, I held down 2 jobs in my own company. This is very important. It's important because I had what a lot of people probably don't and won't ever have without this opportunity. I had a foundation. The Bridge Center and the Adams House provide a foundation for people like myself. This hurts me a little bit because I never thought, based on my trials, that I would ever be in a position to get back. So I got to get over this emotional part. But for what's being described, I think this would be a prerequisite for keeping people from going back to prison. I met Mr. Baker at Night at the Yards when I was doing the Safe Neighborhood Initiative briefly. Our slogan was stop shooting, start living. When certain opportunities came my way, God is good. I feel privileged and blessed to be here. I came to speak today after receiving a phone call yesterday, like I've done many times in the past over the last 5 years. And each time, it seemed like it would get easy, but it don't. Woo! Somebody help me. For all the skeptics in the room, I'm living proof that change is possible. I think I get so emotional because I'm not supposed to be standing here. I'm not. Truth be told, I'm not supposed to be standing here. Some of my friends from the street might see me today with tears and be like, Joe, you get soft. But I'm not, I'm just kidding. I'm not getting soft by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am is humble. I'm humble to be blessed. I'm humble to be given the opportunity to make a difference in somebody else's life. I also have an opportunity to work right here in this building with the health department to continue on with the positive change. So I don't think I have to go back and talk about how bad I was. I want to focus on how good I am right now today. And for all the people that considered me or sought me out for the Safe Neighborhood Initiative, that was a direct partnership with the health department, thought I could be the one to get the job done. I appreciate that as well. I will continue to share my experience, my life story, my passion to make a difference. BJ, you better not tell nobody about this. But I'm truly humbled and honored to just being able to speak and share a few words. Like I said, Bill has been one of my biggest supporters, and I like to say mentor since 2002. I didn't get released from federal prison until 2012. Whew. But I'm here. I'm living proof that given the opportunity and the right tools, anybody, including an old bad guy like me, can be successful. So I would implore all you to continue to support Prince George's County Health Department and Adams House and all their efforts to make a difference in somebody else's life and stop the recidivism of our youth and young adults from going back and forth in and out of prison. With that being said, I think I'm done.
Mr. Kelly, thank you so much for sharing that powerful story and for sharing your real feelings and your real self with us. Thank you. I'd like to introduce retired Lieutenant Commander Misty Odom of the United States Navy, who will share what the Bridge Center at Adams House will mean to the veterans returning to the community after being discharged from military service. Lieutenant Commander Odom.
Good morning, everyone. I wrote mine down because I wanted to stay on track. Okay, so transition. Transition is defined as a process of changing from one condition or state to another. And this happens various times over the course of a lifetime. Many of you can relate when you graduate from high school or college. You get a new job, becoming a homeowner for the very first time, becoming a parent for the first time, deciding to join the military, and also leaving. When an armed force service member leaves the military for any reasons, and this reason can be for medical reasons, it can be because it's the end of their active obligated service commitment, for punitive reasons, or for retirement, they enter a state of transition. And there's no defined state at which the transition takes place. It begins when that person is notified of their separation, and it ends when they're where they want to be in life. And during this time of transition, change is inevitable. And many of us have personal experience that change is not always easy. However, if there are some mechanisms in place, the change can be a lot smoother. While I'm speaking from the perspective of a veteran who transitioned from the military 4 months ago after 24 years of service, I believe these tools can be useful to many of us. First thing I think is finding a purpose for your transition. Asking yourself, what's next? And if you're not where you want to be in life, start creating a plan to get from where you are right now to where you want to be. And this includes a myriad of things. It could be going back to school to finish your degree or earn a certification, traveling to see the world through a different set of eyes, starting a business, getting a job in your known career path or finding a new one, spending time with your families, or doing nothing at all because you're retired. Another thing you need is support from family and friends. Another one is access to resources, and that's where the Bridge Center comes in at. When people or service members transition from the military and trying to enter civilian life, there are some tools that we don't have in our tool bag. We don't know how to do things that many people know how to do. And I found myself in that situation, and I had to reach out for resources. Mr. Cutler and Mr. Reddick, they were great resources to me because there were some things that I just did not know. I knew a lot of things, but I did not know how to write a resume. Did not know. I did not know how to enter the civilian workforce. I did not know how to apply for a job or how to conduct myself at an interview because I had never had to interview for any job in my life. And lastly, how to apply for veterans benefits from the Department of Veteran Affairs. These are things that I did not know how to do. And transitioning from the military to civilian life is a time in the veteran's life that presents great challenges, but it also presents great opportunities, not only for that veteran, but also for that community. Veterans serve their countries, and when they transition, they want to find a place in their community where they can be impactful and use the skills and abilities that they've acquired in the military to be an impactful and useful member of their community. The Bridge Center here, it offers a ray of hope for transitioning veterans, and I'm very grateful that the resources that they have here can make a transition for a veteran a lot smoother. My transition is still in motion, but I still can find use in the resources that you have available here, because there are some things that I still don't know. I'm learning something new every single day, and it gives me like just hope, just knowing that this center is here. And I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I want to thank this center for just being in place today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Commander Odom. That's wonderful. So now I have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Ariana Burnett, who is a superstar. Ms. Burnett will share with you what having a place like the Bridge Center at Adams House will mean to youth who are trying to figure things out and find their place in this life. We welcome Ms. Burnett to the podium.
Good morning. Good morning. I just thank you all for the opportunity just to be able to come out and share my story. I am 22 years old, and a year ago, I was living in a motel, 5 months pregnant, with 2 sons and my husband, because we had been evicted from our apartment. And at the time, I had been a stay-at-home mom already for 3 years. I hadn't been working for a while, and we were in a place where we needed money. I needed a career. I just needed a total change in my life. And I was reaching out in my community looking for resources. And I found our one-stop career center out in Largo. And they have a program called the Keys Careers Program, where they're offering training for people who want to go back into the workforce or find a career. And at the time, being pregnant, it was hard to find somebody who wanted to hire me. So when they accepted me into the program, I went through 6 weeks of employability training. And during that training period, they paid me a stipend. And that stipend is what made the difference between me being in that motel and on the street. It paid my motel costs every week. It paid for my children to have something to eat and some gas in my car so I could get back and forth to that program. And during that 6 weeks, I learned so much. I had so many mentors, like Miss Marcita Bentley Pinkston, who's here today, and like Mr. William Page, who's here today, who walked step by step with me to help get me to where I am now. I was offered the wonderful opportunity to be able to intern with Mr. Walter Simmons as executive assistant. And during that time, it just showed me something about myself other than just being a broke mother who couldn't provide for her children, or just a woman who just couldn't provide anything for herself. I didn't have any confidence. And just the internship that the Keys program offered me, it showed me what I was capable of. It showed me that I was able to stay in workforce. It showed me that I was able to enter back into the workforce. It showed me that I did have real skills that was able to be applied on a job. On top of that, it offered money that would help get me back on track with my family. And after interning with Mr. Simmons, I left. I had my baby, and I had a healthy baby boy. While I was out, I got a call saying that they wanted to offer me another internship opportunity as the front desk coordinator for Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. And ever since I went into that internship, my life has changed for the better. I got hired full-time there. I now have benefits. I can offer my children have health insurance, and that is so big for me. My children have health insurance. I have money that I can bring home to feed them with. And I just love them and everybody that walked with me to be able to get to that point. I was able to go through driving school and get my license. I was able to buy my first car, and I was able to get my very first home. And I'm just so glad that programs and centers like this are now open to offer people like me an opportunity to be able to start their lives over. Because after crisis, your life isn't over, it has to keep going. And we need resources so that people can continue to live their lives to the best of their ability and live up to their fullest potential. And I'm just so grateful for people like you who are opening centers like this to help people like me and others. And I just thank you.
Wow, that is just, what can you say? That was fantastic, and thank you for sharing it with us. And I'm so happy that things are going so much better for you. And thank you, Jim and Walter, and everybody who walked with you. But you did it. You did it. You want to- So I now have the pleasure of bringing to the podium the man whose vision for Prince George's County was the catalyst for the opening of the Bridge Center and everything else that we do. From Transforming Neighborhoods Initiative and T&I at schools, and from Economic Development Incentive Fund to the revitalization of Suitland, our County Executive, Rashern L. Baker III, has asked his leadership team and all his department directors to take a collaborative and holistic approach to addressing the challenging needs within our communities. And he's also said, from the first day he walked up on that 5th floor of the county administration building, that we are not going to solve our crime problems or our other problems in society, but with force, with guns, and with corrections. He has told us over and over again, it's human services and giving people the services and resources that they need that will change Prince George's County to make it the fantastic model of excellence that we know we can be. And so our leader, Rashern L. Baker III, deserves a great round of applause.
Okay, I'm going to take issue when this is over with. Whoever put me in this order, I asked for it, right? I asked to go last. I should not have. The 3 speakers were phenomenal. Can we give them another round of applause? And Ms. Bentley, you were about to get me in trouble because I was crying and I didn't want Mr. Kelly to think I was soft. But who's BJ? BJ, tell everybody. I mean that, tell everybody. As many of you know, this has been yesterday was a very sad day in Prince George's County. And as those who know me know, I feel very personal about each and every person that works in Prince George's County and each and every person that lives in Prince George's County. And so when we see a young man lose his life to save someone else's life, I feel it deeply. And you wonder, quite honestly, is it all worth it, quite honestly? It's probably been, I'm going into my 8th year as being county executive, and we have worked hard. We have worked really hard to try and make a difference in this community and in this state. And then you have things like that happen, you start to think, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if you can get up in the morning. I don't know if you can put a tie on. I just don't know. And so today, coming over here, I was like, you know what? Can I get somebody else to do this? Betty's been badgering me for 3 months to come to this opening. It's changed 900 times. I tried to pawn it off on everybody. I was like, well, let Pam do it. Let Elena do it. You know, Mary Lou's great, let her do it. But you know what? We don't order our steps. We don't order our steps. God orders our steps. Because sitting there and listening to not only the testimony, but listening to the programs that will be offered here in this one-stop center is everything that we have dedicated our lives to. Being able to know that across the street where my 3 children went to high school, right here is going to change someone's life just like the lives you heard today, is why we get up. It is why that young man laid down his life, because he knew you would be here today. He knew that tomorrow people would need us. The work that goes on here, Betty, is absolutely correct. We should be out there serving tea and donuts. Because the life changers are right here, the people that have walked with them. There's a reason why we stand up after a crisis. It's not about the falling down. It is all about the getting up. But when you get up, and this is something my wife taught me, when you get up, remember what it was like when you were down. Remember what it was like. Because I remember what it was like when we didn't have no health insurance and this guy was about to be born. That was a scary time. I remember what it's like to call the fire department and you ain't got no place so you can't help at all. I remember what it's like when my dad transitioned out of the Army after 30 years. If you do that, if you remember that when you get up, what it should do is direct how you govern, how you operate, how you treat people. Just think about that. If everybody remembered what it was like when they were down, policies would be different, activities would be different. Because my wife wouldn't let me forget what it was like when we were going through it, it's why we could do this today. It's why I had enough sense, and she would agree with this, to appoint enough women to do things. Walter, you the man, because you know what? It is all about appointing women. You want to get it done. But let me close with this. It's a great day in Prince George's County. It is a day where we mourn a life. But in mourning that life, we showed what this county is made of. This morning, we celebrate life. And in celebrating life, we let the world know what the character of this county and this state is. God bless you.